Peaceful greetings, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you taking the time to tap into this podcast. And we're definitely going to have a really great episode with a real inspiring story. We have Joseph Mudd. He's an amazing individual and also an amazing business individual, too. He definitely has a really great mentality when it comes to execution and following up with his goals. And Joseph, could you briefly introduce yourself to everyone that's watching on this?
For sure. Yeah. First off, thanks for the that introduction, man. It's might have been one of the best ones I've gotten so far. So I appreciate that, man.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I'm Joseph Mudd. You guys might have seen my wife around, KJ Mudd, if you're in the Subto group or on Facebook or any kind of social media. She's there. That's probably the only way you even know who I am. I'm more of the behind the scenes kind of person, getting a lot of stuff done, like kind of like you said, executing. Right. That's actually
Mm.
we took the Clifton test. It's one of my main strengths is executing. But we've been in Subto for a little bit over 3 years. That's right around the time we started our real estate journey. Right in the middle of COVID is when we started, and it's been an amazing journey. And as anybody that's an entrepreneur knows, it's lots of high highs, lots of low lows, and we definitely had our fair share of that. But we dabble a little bit in everything, right? We've got our hands with wholesaling. That's where we started off. We're doing a lot of that. We still do that currently. We also buy multifamily. We just closed on our third apartment building, and we're looking for the fourth.
Congratulations.
I appreciate that, man. Super exciting. And then we also do a little bit of gator lending too, but that's kind of like the side business. Don't really
Hmm.
focus on that a lot. More so when people ask for it. That's when we do that. That's a little bit
Awesome.
quick, little high level summary. We can dive deeper into whichever parts you want to talk about.
Yeah, let's circle back in 2020. Can you give me a little bit of a detail of where you were before real estate and what happened from if you had a W-2 or what you were currently doing towards the decision making of real estate and then executing on your decision?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's kind of a crazy story, to be honest with you. Prior to all of this, my goal was to become a physical therapist. So I was on track to do that. I was in school. I had one last semester left after I started, and so I still finished it out. I got my degree. It's hanging on the wall, and I don't use it at all. But that was the goal. That's where I was headed. I had actually I was starting my very first day as a personal trainer. I figured let me do something within that particular industry so it looks good for my future either application or just prior experience to doing it. So I started my first day. COVID happened, wiped everything out, sent everybody home. So I literally worked like 3.5 hours as a personal trainer, and then they sent me home, and that was the end of that.
Mm.
So after that, kind of just sat at home like the rest of the country, didn't really do anything. Just watched TV, played games, hung out with the wife, and kind of just did nothing. Did that for like a month and a half, maybe 2 months, and then my wife was like, "This sucks. Like we can't go to work. No one's letting us work. Like we got to figure out how we can make money for ourselves." So it was kind of the spark that did it. Honestly, I was super resistant to it at first. I had the W-2 mindset. I just wanted to, just go work. And when I'm off of work, I want to just be at home and do nothing. Right. That's kind
Mhm.
of what my mindset was. Um, so we started watching YouTube, right? Like, what does everybody do when they want to get rich? How do I become a millionaire? So we started
Yeah.
typing that in, and YouTube kept pointing us towards real estate. So we started, how can we get into real estate wholesaling? Well, how do we do wholesaling? And that eventually led us to understanding the concept and wanting to get involved. And so we put our money where our mouth is, right? We reached out to somebody that I knew was in real estate, got them to connect us to somebody that could help us, and that person they connected us to ended up becoming our first mentors. It was two. It was Cody Pirtle and Jared Graves out of Houston. We paid them every dollar we had in our bank account, pretty much all the money we got from stimulus checks during the COVID time. That's what we paid them. So we paid them 5 grand to essentially show us how they're doing their entire business. They were running a very successful wholesale operation, and we were able to capitalize on their success. We were actually able to get our first deal off of their dead leads list. So all the leads that they called and weren't able to make anything happen with, My wife actually called this seller that was on there, and we got 4 houses in one deal for our first deal after
Wow.
like a month of doing that.
So it
Very,
took,
very quickly.
that's incredible. So it took you 1 month of calling dead leads to get your first contract.
Yeah,
Not only
pretty.
that, it was 4 contracts, right? 4 separate properties with one owner.
It was actually one contract. We sold it as a portfolio. So whoever
Mm,
was buying it bought all 4 houses at once, and I still know who bought it. And to be clear, it was 1 month of going to their office, learning, just literally just being a sponge and absorbing as much information as we could. And then after that month was over, they allowed us to call off their dead leads. So we were doing that. And that after a month of calling those leads is when we were able to get the deal closed. It took
mm.
like a week, 2 weeks to actually get it locked up and move forward with it. So 2 months after starting is how soon we were able to make that happen.
Wow, that's incredible. That's inspiring. And when you were calling, was it like 8 hours straight calling, or was it 4 hours calling every day, Monday through Friday? How did that look?
Dude, I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. We did not have the right mindset. We were not prepared. It was God just saying, "Hey, you guys need a little bit of help." So we ended up getting pretty lucky after, a few calls. I mean, we probably did 100 calls total
Hmm.
out of their leads, and we were able to make that happen. And like I said, it was my wife. So the sweet voice on the other side of the phone is what got him. It was an older gentleman.
Mm,
They didn't have any females in the office, so I really think that's what did it, and it worked.
wow.
It's great for her. It's her superpower, man. She's so
Yeah,
sweet. So it was
that's
really
awesome. And do you mind disclosing the assignment fee for the 4 properties?
yeah, yeah. No, I don't care. It was a 45K total assignment, and we split that 50-50 as a JV with our mentors.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah,
That's really cool. So that definitely switched things up. I'm sure something lit up in both of you and your wife's you know mental, and was like, all right, we got to take this to the next level. So
yeah.
so what did y'all do specifically after the deposit, or it was wired straight to y'all's account?
Well, I guess we did like every other, person starting off and wholesaling and just made a huge paycheck. We just had a celebration. We told all of our friends and families, like, look what we just did. Like, this is crazy. This is more than we would have made in a year,
Yeah.
normal year. So it was super exciting. So that was the first thing we did. Had a great time. And then right after that, we were like, okay, let's put this into action. Let's take that money and let's go make some more money.
Hmm.
So we weren't really prepared, right? We really weren't. We thought that if you just dump money into it, that it would spit money out, and that's
Hmm.
not at all how it goes, right? You have to have your systems in place. You have to be prepared to handle the capacity of what you're going to put out. So all in all, we ended up like spending like 12 grand in marketing and paying for some VAs, paying for systems, and just paying for all this stuff. And honestly, we ended up wasting all of it. I'm not gonna lie to you, because we were not ready. We were not prepared mentally to take on that amount. Right? I still have like $800 in a Aurora account that I never really used because
Mm,
texting wasn't really the way that we wanted to go about it.
yeah.
Um,
What was one key takeaway that you learned from that experience? Because I'm sure it wasn't all a waste, I'm sure you learned
oh,
something
definitely
valuable.
not. Yeah. I would say one of the biggest things I learned was how to work with your spouse. That was one of the things that we had to learn very quickly, because we're both very dominant personality. We have very dominant personality types. So
Hmm.
we kept getting in each other's way, to be honest. Like we
Mm,
didn't have clearly defined roles. We were kind of just both doing everything. And so because of that, we were both doing nothing, right? And so
mm,
that was super, super important for us to learn very quickly on, to figure out what roles we were good at and then just stay in your lane. That was kind of what we had to figure out quickly. On top of that, we figured out that consistency is key. That if you only do it for a week or 2 weeks and then fall off, you're not going to get anything done, because that's what we kept doing, right? We
hmm.
we just weren't mentally prepared to go full speed ahead with this business, right? I still had some summer classes that I was doing. Right, I think we closed in like July or early August, something like that, is when we had
Hmm.
actually closed on that first deal. And so right after that, we went back into our last semester of school, right?
Hmm.
And so my wife almost dropped out. She almost just said, "Screw it, I'm done. I want to just keep doing the real estate thing. I don't even care about this." I was like, "But you're one class, literally one class away." So I ended up
Yeah.
just in class four. But because we were still doing all these things, I had all these classes. I was just like, "Look, let's just put it all on pause. Let's finish this off. Let's live off the money we have, and then we'll come right back to it." So that's kind of what ultimately ended up happening. And it definitely set us back. We lost a lot of confidence, we lost a lot of momentum. It was very heartbreaking, but it taught us a lot. It taught us that we definitely enjoyed doing the real estate. We enjoyed working for ourselves. We didn't want to go work for anybody else. And so we learned that very quickly.
Wow, that's awesome. Appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, definitely.
And and when you came back to the real estate game, how many months did you take off and what steps did you take to create that momentum again?
So we came back in like mid-November. We were about to finish school. It was like, hey, it's almost done. And now it's just your finals or whatever. So it was pretty much all
Hmm.
like blow off for the rest of the school year at that point. So we're
Hmm.
like, okay, let's start getting back on it. So that way, when school stops, like we're just ease back into it. We're ready to go. So that's when we started. Like, okay, let's start picking this stuff back up. Let's call some of those leads that we had, and let's get it going again, right? And so our only tool in the tool belt was wholesale. Like we only knew a
Hmm.
discounted cash offer. That's literally the only strategy that we were actually taught. Our mentors had told us a little bit about Subto, but they weren't using it on a day-to-day basis. And we were still watching YouTube videos and figuring out how to do all this stuff. And one of the ones we were watching a lot was Pace Morby. And so as soon as we was like, okay, we're going full speed back into real estate, the first thing that we did actually was take all the money we had again and then pay for the Subto course.
Yeah.
We really didn't have that much left, and we're like, look, this is all we got. So what can you do to work with us? And so that's how we were able to put some money down, and then just got on a very irregular payment plan for the rest of it.
Hmm.
Um, from the first deal to the second deal was about 8 months apart. So we ended up getting our second deal in March of 21, and we joined Subto in December of 2020. So it was like
Wow.
3 months after we joined Subto is when we were able to get our second deal. And then after that is when we started picking up some more momentum again. We were creating relationships,
Mhm.
getting better at our craft, getting more skilled on the phones and underwriting and just going through all the processes.
Wow, that's incredible. And were you doing all the underwriting you and your wife yourself, or did you hire someone to help y'all do it? Or how did that look?
Yeah, it was just us, to be honest. It was just us for the longest time, man. We really didn't bring anybody else into our team until about earlier this year, honestly. That's
Hmm.
like to officially bring somebody into the team. It was like February or March of this year is when we started like, hey, we need people to work with us and join our team. Up and
Hmm.
ever since then, we've been kind of pretty much just doing it on our own, right? We worked with a few people along the way and ultimately found out what we did and didn't want in partnerships. We found that
Hmm.
out in some senses the hard way, in some senses the easy way, but um, we were just a solo operation. Luckily, we had each other, but it was just us pretty much doing everything. We did have a couple JV partners along the way that helped us get some of the deals closed that we did, but for the most part, it was all on our own accord.
Okay. And by that time, were you already mentally programmed that you're an entrepreneur and you have to be consistent, organized, and disciplined to execute, or were you still figuring that out? Right.
Man,
And what did you do too?
I love that answer or that question because hell no, we weren't. We were not prepared. Not at all,
Mm.
man. We really weren't. We still had a lot of mindset issues that we had to overcome. At that time, right, one thing I didn't mention is COVID wiped us out. It really did.
Mm,
We lost our jobs, lost our apartments. I had to sell my truck. We had stopped paying for a bunch of stuff we were paying for. Ended up moving back in with my dad. At one point, we were sleeping on an air mattress because our mattress was so bad. Like we literally just threw it out in the street and like screw that thing. And we went to Walmart and bought a $40 air mattress. That thing popped. And we went through like three of those. It was like 6 months we were living on an air mattress.
mm,
So that was like a huge dark moment in our life where we weren't mentally prepared for anything. We weren't getting stuff done. We were arguing with each other. There was a lot of stuff that we went through in order to become the people we are now. So to be honest with you, did we actually were we prepared for it mentally? Honestly, not really. Not even until like a year and a half ago,
mhm,
honestly. That's when we were like, okay, this is it. This is what we're doing. Like, because there was definitely moments where we're like, all right, screw it. Let's just go get a job. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Let's just go
mm,
find a job and we'll just go do it. But ultimately, we were able to work on ourselves. We're still working on ourselves every day.
mm.
We're still working on ourselves. But
Yeah.
the one thing that truly helped us, that truly brought us back to believing that we can do it and moving forward was building a relationship with God. I mean, I don't know what you believe in, but I definitely believe in God. I got the sign right here.
Yeah.
It truly is what set us up for success. As soon as we started, like, okay, we need to get more involved with our community, with our church, and really truly start like being committed to this. That's when things started changing for us. As soon as we did that, like a month later, we closed our biggest deal to date, and it was like a 130K assignment, and we took home like 82,000 of that. So that's the
What?
biggest deal, and that came as soon as we made the decision. We were like, okay, we got to stop trying to do this on our own. We got to go find another source of help. We need somebody to support us. And we started going to church more regularly and got involved with some of the youth leaderships there. That's when things started changing for us, and it just got so much better, and pretty much skyrocketed from there.
Yeah. All praises to God.
Amen, brother. Amen. You
That's
you saw the hat, right? You saw the hat. It's a God Family Hustle. It's from
yeah, Carlos Reyes.
yeah. But I love the motto, man. That's why I bought the hat. I was like, that's
Yeah.
perfect. It literally fits.
Yeah, talking about Carlos Reyes, I met him this past weekend and he shared his personal story, how he had unconditional love for his mom and how he was able to help her through the worst of the worst. Like he got very intimate and it was definitely refreshing to see someone else who has unconditional love, because it's rare meeting people who have unconditional love because it's very common that people have conditional love for you or for other people. And he's a fantastic individual. And he actually took a big pay cut. He used to pay himself over $1 million every year or a little bit more. This year he's paying himself 120K.
Wow,
Yeah. So, yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, he's great. And for the 80K assignment fee, was that a residential single family or was that a multi-family deal?
That was residential. We didn't start doing multifamily up until a year and a half ago. That's when we made the decision. Like, all right, we're in it. And that was about a year and a half ago. So that deal was it was like 20 acres or something like that. It was a big lot with some houses on it.
Oh wow, so there was multiple properties. So it's kind of like a
I don't
multi-family
like
in
multifamily.
a
Yeah,
in a way, but since it was one big lot, it was considered a single family.
exactly.
Wow, and how'd you come across that property?
That one was actually a referral, man. We built ourselves up as somebody that knew what they were doing and could help others, and so that actually came from a family referral. Actually,
Mm. Did you pay a referral fee for that?
we didn't know. Actually, no, they didn't ask for one, but
Yeah.
in a way we did, right? In a way we did because we did support support them in a time where they needed it. So in a way it was, but it wasn't directly from that. They just said, hey, this so and so could use your help. You should give them a call. That's kind of what happened.
Oh,
Uh,
that's awesome. That's incredible. We always got to pay it forward.
Mhm.
Always, always. And after that deal, that's when you figured out like, all right, we got to start focusing on multifamily, or what was
Oh
the
man.
inspiration for multifamily?
And it's a little bit of a long story, so I'll try and condense it a little bit. But after that deal, we were just ecstatic, right? We paid off a bunch of debt, like 40, 50,000 in debt. We had a bunch of money now that we could use to live off of to build the business. And so we were still living in my dad's house. And it had been like a year or so, a little over a year at that point. And we were just like, look, let's just go. Let's just leave. Like, let's get the hell out of here. We don't want to live here anymore. Like, we just want to go somewhere else. And at that time, we were working with another group of people. Um, and ultimately, we went and we moved out to Arizona to build more relationships, also build stronger relationships with this couple. Long story short, that didn't quite work out. We were different. We had different goals and values, and just weren't aligned in the way that we thought we were. So we were just kind of like, F it. Like, we just separated ways. It was kind of a mutual agreement to go our separate ways. And at that point, it was like, look, we stopped everything we were doing with single family to create our own business with this group, but it didn't work out. So now we're starting over completely. So we did start over completely. And ultimately, it just wasn't what we wanted to do. We really
Mm.
just did not want to do it. And so while we were doing that, my wife was doing dispo, I was doing acquisitions. My wife was calling buyers, and like 50% of the buyers she spoke with actually said, hey, I'm actually not buying single family anymore. I'm selling off my entire portfolio and I'm
Wow.
putting it into multifamily. Like, so many people kept telling us that. And so it made us think. And it was like, do we really want to be doing this for like the next 10 years just to be in their position and sell off all of our stuff to then get into multifamily and learn an entirely new business and structure and do all this stuff, basically start over? It's like, do we really want to do that? I was like, nah, we don't want to do that. And so my wife, she was like, let's just do it. Like, F it, let's just go. And so that's what we did, right? We just reached out to someone who was presenting themselves as someone that was starting multifamily and getting more involved in that space. And we ended up connecting to them, and they said, yeah, I'm pretty fresh. I don't really know a whole lot, but I'll tell you what I do know. And so that's how that relationship kind of started. And now we have 3 apartment buildings together with that person.
Uh,
So it that is what led us into doing it. And eventually we got to the point where we were doing both. And we are like, look, let's stop the single family right now. It's just a distraction. Let's just go 100% into multifamily. And so when we made that transition, everything kind of just started coming together, right? That's what I meant. Like, that's when we learned, okay, we got to be committed. We got to be in this to win it. And once we like, all right, we're in multifamily, we're going to do multifamily, everything just started falling into place again. And we ended up just dropping all the single family stuff. So we didn't do that for a while. We just picked it up again like 6, 7 months ago because we needed active income, right? Multifamily is a long term game. You don't get paid right away. I mean, you do a little, but it's not enough to keep going, to keep stable off of that.
mhm.
So the single family keeps us afloat. It pays our bills, and that's why we still continue to do both. But we were able to get our first 2 properties in the first 7 months of our journey. Once we fully committed to being like, all right, we're going to be multifamily investors, we're going to buy multifamily, we were actually able to get 2 seller finance deals for a total of 70 units in those first 7 months.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it really was, because the third one took a lot longer. We were pretty much working on that deal for almost an entire year, almost.
I'm sure it's all worth it, right?
Oh, absolutely, man. It's been quite a journey. It really has. We've learned a lot, made a lot of connections. I mean, people refer to us now as the multifamily people, or at least a good chunk of them, because we get people sent to us all the time, like, "Hey, you should go talk to the Muds. You should talk to the Muds. They do multifamily. They can help you." And I don't know who all is sending these people to us, but we always get the Calendly link or the Calendly update in our calendar, say, hey, I was referred to you. I was referred to come talk to you about whatever deal I have. And so it
Mm.
happens all the time. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, actually, someone referred me to you guys as a
Oh,
multifamily.
let's go. That's
And it was
awesome.
at Power Hour too.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you started multifamily, you said it took 7 months to get your first deal with multifamily.
Yeah, to get the first two closed and funded, it took us about 7 months. The first 3 months, honestly, was kind of a waste of time, to be honest with you, because we were taking action, but we were taking action in the wrong direction. We were dealing with a lot of wholesalers. And for those in the multifamily space, there's nothing wrong with buying from a wholesaler, but most wholesalers in multifamily don't really know what they're doing. They don't know what questions to ask, they don't know what information to provide. They are gatekeepers, like they're in the way between you and the seller, and you really need to be able to communicate with the seller in order to ask a bunch of questions that the wholesaler's not going to know to ask. So it was just really difficult to actually find a deal dealing with wholesalers. And we spent like 2 months working on one deal. We brought buyers to, and then the guy was like, ah, yeah, I changed my mind. So it was a huge waste of time for us, but it taught us who we didn't want to work with and what questions we should be asking. Because it's not a regular occurrence
Hmm.
to ask for a LOI and a proof of funds before you see any financials or even know what the property is. But wholesalers, it's like an unspoken code that a wholesaler will ask you for LOI, proof of funds, and a 3% buyer's fee before they give you any information, which is absurd. Like, how can you provide an offer if you don't know what the numbers are for the property?
Hmm.
Because multifamily is different than single family, right? Single family is comped. It's based, the value of a single family home is compared to other single family homes nearby, whereas commercial multifamily is valued based on the income the property produces.
Hmm.
So if you don't know what the property is producing as far as income wise, how do you know what to pay for it?
Yeah. And how'd you handle the proof of funds in the beginning for your first two deals? Did you partnered up with someone who had the proof of funds and y'all use that towards leverage, or how did
Yeah,
that unfold?
yeah. I had a way of providing proof of funds. I had someone that I could essentially leverage their proof of funds. Also, if you're in Subto, Pace is
Mm,
another resource that you can use. I'm
mm.
pretty sure there's I know I had one, but I've been in a while and for a while. I don't know if it's still available, but there was
Yeah, it
definitely a
is.
proof of
Yeah,
funds.
he has
Yeah. So,
a Bank of America and a Chase proof of funds.
so yeah, those are ones that you can use. Some of the savvier ones be like, hey, this is like dated from like 2 years ago. but most people don't really see that stuff. So there's ways around it. Once I knew better, I was telling people like, hey, that's just not how it works. Like you need to
Mhm,
provide me some financials, then we can talk about that. But even then, we don't ever get asked for proof of funds. Most of our deal sources come from brokers, and
mm.
brokers understand that most buyers of multifamily are syndicating the deals. You don't It's not your money that you're using in the first place. So what
Yeah.
proof of do you want me to show you? All the deals that we bought is very little of my money. We
Mm.
probably have like 10K in all three deals of our
Wow.
own. We were able to use our relationships and the
Mm,
network of people that we've built up that trust and
mm.
believe in us in order to purchase these deals. And now we have lots of partners because they're all of these people that invested us, they're partners with us. They're equity partners in the deals that we do.
That's incredible. And if you were to give three practical steps on what to do if someone's new and they want to start multifamily, right? And they're committed, they made the informative decision because they didn't just make the decision, like they had information and they make an informative decision to start multifamily only. And they only had $111 to their name. What three practical steps would you give them to start?
First off, that was a very specific number. You said 111. That's a very
Yeah.
specific number. So, first thing I would do, man, is I would really figure out what your goal is and then work backwards from that. Figure out what your year goal, your 5 year goal, and then your 10-year goal. Figure out what those goals are. and then work backwards from that, and then try and really figure out how long it's going to take you to get there, how many properties you need to buy each year in order to do that, because you really, really need to understand how to evaluate a property and figure out what properties are good properties and which properties are not, and be able to
Mm,
buy at the right price, because that's where you make the money, is being able to, one, buy at the right price, but also have the strategies to force the appreciation of the property. That would be step one.
mhm,
uh, Step two is, if you are focusing 100% on multifamily, I would highly, highly encourage you to also have another source of income. That's another thing. It's very important. We did not see it as very important. We were like, hey, all good things are gonna come. They did, but man, it was super stressful. It was very,
mhm,
very stressful. I would highly encourage that you, if you're wholesaling, that you do not stop wholesaling. Keep that going. You want to keep having active income coming in, so you're not having to worry about your bills while you're focusing on this too. At least until you get to the point where you're able to support yourself with just your multifamily stuff. It's a
mhm,
long term game. It's not short term. So that would be step two, is make sure that you're stable, whether that's wholesaling, whether that's a W-2, whether that's selling shit out of your garage. I have no idea, right? Figure something out so that
mhm.
you can pay your bills on time. That you don't want to have that stress. I can tell you from experience, you do not want to have that stress while trying to build this business.
Yeah.
The third thing, the third thing is, I guess I'm gonna give you four. The third thing is to find someone that's ahead of you and work with them to either bring deals to them or be able to ask them for advice. Now, whether that's paying for a mentorship
Mhm,
or bringing a deal to someone, or just finding someone that's like the next step above you, and just attaching yourself to them, figuring out what they're doing, and then just replicate the process.
mm.
That is a really, really, really important piece that a lot of people just kind of like, it's okay, I don't really need that.
Yeah.
But paying for a mentor is like one of the best things that you can do with this, because you're going to learn so much faster. You're going to cut your learning curve. It is absolutely worth it to partner up with somebody that's ahead of you and then just have them show you the ropes. Like, you really just want to be a sponge for your first couple of deals and just learn as much as possible. The fourth thing that I'll give you, oh man, I had it and I lost it. The fourth thing, oh, this is what it was, is don't sleep on the power of relationships. Network,
Mm,
network, 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 network. It is absolutely critical to network. And it really, truly is. Like, if you haven't read the book Who, Not How, then you shouldn't even get into multifamily at all. Not until you truly understand that concept. It's like the multifamily investor's Bible. It really is, because to do multifamily deals, to do large syndicated deals, like really massive stuff, it's not about what you can do, it's who you know that you can bring into the deal with you to get it done, right? Like, for example, the one that we have that just closed on, it was a loan assumption.
mhm.
So what that means is we actually assumed the loan. It was not a sub two. We actually have our
You had
names
to
on the loan.
qualify for it.
Exactly. And so, in order to qualify for that type of stuff, you have to have the net worth equivalent or greater than the loan that you're getting applying for. You
Yeah.
also have to have experience. If it's an agency debt, you have to have experience with
Mhm,
that particular agency. And if you don't, they won't approve you. So how do you get into a deal like that if they won't do it if you're not experienced? You have to bring another person in that does have the experience, leverage their experience, and give them some equity for it. So that's one thing. It's referred to as a key principal, a sponsor, a guarantor. I've even heard it called a capital. Well, man, what did they say? I don't know. That one's irrelevant. Key principal,
yeah.
sponsor, guarantor. Those are the three main things that they're called. It's the same thing, just different names for it.
Mhm.
Super, super critical that you leverage your relationships. That's
Awesome.
probably the number one thing I would say.
Okay. And since your beginning of your real estate journey, what mindset key takeaways can you talk about specifically to help the newcomer that's going to do single family or multifamily?
Yeah, man. don't be you're going to be your biggest critic, right?
Mm,
It's just what happens when you're doing stuff and you're
mhm,
not doing what you're supposed to be doing and you know it, you're going to beat yourself up. So
mhm,
just figure out what you need to do in order to one, either make yourself feel better or put yourself in the right routine or the right situation,
mhm,
encourage you to do what needs to be done, right? It's going to be super critical that you just don't give up. That's another thing. Just never, ever, ever give up. Like this can take 1 year, it could take 10 years, it could take 20 years. But if you never give up, you'll be successful at it. And eventually you will have what you're looking for, whether it's a massive portfolio of single family or portfolio of multifamily, you're going to get there. You just can't give
mhm,
up. Like that is like super, super critical. You've heard it as never give up. You've heard it as consistency is key. You've heard it as just be persistent, right? It's all the same thing, really. Just don't
mhm.
give up. Just keep pushing. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on your goal. Just keep going. That is literally going to make or break you. It's going to separate those that are successful and those that are not successful because everybody fails.
Yeah.
You only truly fail when you give up.
Okay.
You know what I
It's
mean?
fantastic advice. Yeah, I know what you mean. And my next question is, it's going to be about gratitude. Of course, we have to talk about gratitude.
Absolutely.
What are you grateful for? And it could be more than one thing. And why are you grateful for it?
Oh man, I can tell you right now, I'm super grateful for the relationships that I've built and the people around me that ultimately make me successful, right? Because you see
Mhm,
me right now, but I have a multi-family team, I have a single family team, I have a business partner that's my spouse, I have other business partners that are amazing. We couldn't do any of this without having the team and the systems in place. So and everybody that works with us, they work for free. Everybody works until the deal closes. That
mhm,
is absolutely amazing that people believe in us enough to work for free and not know exactly when they're going to get paid. But that's up to me in order to make sure that they get paid, right? So
mhm,
I'm truly grateful for everybody that believes in us, whether it's friends, family, teammates, business partners, all of them. They've attributed to my success and our team's success. So I'm extremely grateful for everyone that's around me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And let's talk about faith. What you said your life turned around once you and your partner, your wife, your amazing wife, g- switched the mentality to let's have faith and basically let go, let God. Was it easy or was it kind of hard because your ego was getting in the way? And how does it look now, your day to day with faith?
Yeah. Obviously it could always get better. I was not gonna sit here and lie and tell you that I'm like super, super by the book, religious, getting everything done exactly how it says. I'm not
Mhm,
absolutely not true, but I do as much as I can in order to strengthen my faith. As far as your first question, right? Was it
mhm.
easy? It kind of was easy because at that point we had no other options. Like we tried
Yeah.
literally everything but that. It's like, all right, this is like we gotta figure something out, and this is like the last option here. And thank goodness my wife is, like I said, we're very dominant, very strong-minded people, so we kind of just like learn to listen to each other, and we
Mm,
have an understanding that we both are really good at coming up with ideas, but usually she's the better idea person and I pick and choose the ideas that are good, right?
mm,
But she usually comes up with a strong one. She's like, look, this is what I think we need to do, and I was like, all right, bet, let's do it. It
mhm.
sounds like that's what we need to do. So that part was fairly easy, but only because we exhausted all other options.
Yeah.
Now as far as what we're continuing to do, we go to church regularly. We attempt to pray every night. I'm not going to say that we do, but we do attempt
Mhm,
to pray every night. We actively want to pray over our meals. We want to
mhm,
do things to be involved. It's been a lot less lately just because we've been so busy, but we do still want to be involved with the communities. And since we moved to it, did make it a little harder. But I'm going to a church retreat here. I think it's like next week or 2 weeks from now. I don't remember
mhm.
exactly. it's in the calendar, right? As long as it's in the
Yeah.
calendar, I'll be there. But that's coming up soon. So we just do as much as we can to give back, but also put ourselves in the position to give back, right? And
Yeah.
also just be open minded
Hmm.
to your solution is not always the best solution, right? I mean, you've heard that God's plan is not always on your time, but it is always on time.
Mm.
I know there's a phrase that I probably butchered that, but uh,
Yeah.
God's time is always on time. There you go. That's
Oh,
what
there
the
you go.
and it does not happen when you want it to happen. I'll tell you that, but it does happen when it's supposed to happen. So just you just gotta. One of my favorite phrases, I
Hmm.
probably stole this from my wife, but one of my favorite phrases is "walk by faith, not by sight."
Hmm.
And I truly believe that. Like, no matter what I do, I know that I'm being led to where we're supposed to go, even if maybe we're doing a zigzag, it's not a straight line. I know that our experiences and our journeys is going to create us to be the people we're meant to be and also take us to where we're supposed to go.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, because my faith is very similar to Christianity. Because I imagine you're a Christian, right?
Yeah, I'm a Catholic.
Yeah. Catholic? Oh, Catholic. My apologies,
No,
Catholic.
it's
Yeah.
the same thing, right? It's
Yeah.
just there's Christian, and then you have like all these like branches.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can get into that, but that's a whole other story, right?
Yeah, it's a whole other episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I grew up Catholic too. Then after doing my due diligence and listening to my intuition, now I'm Muslim and I'm grateful that I was able to make a formative decision to be Muslim. And honestly, there's a lot in common when it comes to all religions. It's not all the same, but there's a lot of commonalities with each one. Like with many of my Christian friends or Catholic family members, little do they know that Muslim, Christian, and Catholic, they all have so much in common, but we don't know that because what's put out on TV, social media separates all of us,
Oh, absolutely.
and God just wants all of us to unify and to help each other and to honestly spread the love and just grow, right? Because my honest opinion, I feel like my purpose or our purpose as humans is to grow and become our greatest version, to be able to serve others and to serve God, right? And when it comes to like the Holy Quran, Allah is also known as God there too, or the Lord. And that's the same in the Catholic Bible and the Christian Bible. So like there's many commonalities that it would actually like blow our minds to a degree like dang, like I didn't know this was in the Holy Quran, I didn't know this was in the Catholic book. But having faith is extremely important, especially when you're an entrepreneur, because sometimes, like you said, you wanted to throw the flag in. I'm not an entrepreneur yet, right? I do it part-time real estate. However, I'm visualizing myself and putting myself in that position where I have to work for myself and I have to have a calendar with calendar blocks, right? And let's talk about that real quick. Because last time I was with you at Power Hour, you pulled up your calendar and there was so many different color orientations, different time blocks. What could you recommend to someone like me who's new into time blocks, and what's something practical that I can, or the person that's listening could start doing today to apply for calendar block or time blocks?
Man, it's funny you bring that up because I used to like never use my calendar, like ever. But it got to the point where I just had so many things that I needed to do, and I was just like, I need to be putting this in somewhere. I need to have specific times where I get things done and do only that thing in that specific time. And I'm not even gonna lie to you, it's not perfect, right? It
Hmm.
truly isn't perfect, but it is absolutely critical that you do that. If you're going to do anything as an entrepreneur, you should be able to time block. So what I would suggest, figure out what is your non-negotiables, right? Or the things you
Hmm.
have to do every single day. or at least on a certain day of the week. Figure out all of those things that you can't move, you can't change. Those are there, right? Lock those in, put them in the calendar, and be done with it. Those are there. They're not going to change. Then I would figure out what times you have remaining, like the extra spaces that you do have, and then come up with the plan as far as what you need to get done, and then start plugging them into those spots ahead of time, right? I try to put it a week in advance if I can. Something that has really helped me a lot is Calendly. Either I'll go put something in myself, or like let's say I have a call, or because I'm networking a lot, meeting a lot of people. I used to communicate back and forth and say, "Hey, does this time work for you?" Oh, no,
Mm,
sorry, that time doesn't work for me. But what about this time? I would
mm,
waste so much time doing that, going back and forth. When now I just say, "Here's my Calendly. Pick a time that works for you, and it'll show up on my calendar, and I'll be there." That
mm,
saves so much time. So if you're not using Calendly or some other service like that, that's where you should start. You should get that and hook it up to your calendar. Um, and then figure out the things that you want to do, and make sure you save time, set time aside for those things that you do want to do, like spending time with your family or reading a book or going to the
mhm.
gym, whatever it is. Put those in there as well. Like put everything into the calendar, like literally every single thing that you have planned, like just put it in. Like here's a quick high level of my calendar from this week.
Yeah.
You see today is booked up like every second of
To
the day.
me, that looks beautiful.
Yeah, it is super helpful, super helpful
Yeah.
by doing that, because it makes it so much easier to know what I need to get done in the order I need to get it done. And I figure out, okay, if I didn't do that or I had to shift it around, I could just move it to the next day on the calendar.
Okay. And how does the color orientation work? Like, is there a specific color for a task, or is there priority? Like one color specifies it's more important than the other? How does that work?
I am not that sophisticated with it yet. I do have some different colors, as far as like if there's like a Zoom or an event, those are all one color. That those are kind of like an optional basis, like where it
Mm,
doesn't necessarily, I don't necessarily need to attend, but if I do want to attend it, here it is, here's the time, here's the link. That's for those. Then I have my single family business, I have the multi-family business. Those are going to be different colors, as well as different calendars. They're synced up to each other. I also have meetings in there. Those meetings, those are non-negotiable, and I have those
mm,
meetings that are in there. And then there's the Calendly, the ones that people book themselves. What I went and did is I figured out, okay, I'm open for meetings. I'm available to take calls
mhm,
between this time and this time, and then also this time and this time. So people can only book in those specific times. And if it's not in that, if one of those times don't work out, then they need to reach out or put a time later in the future in order to make it work. But then I have a section where it's just me. It's like I'm gonna have this, like I think from like 1 to 5 p.m. is my time to figure out what I need to do and catch up on the stuff that needs to get done on my part. Because before I was just taking meetings all day and people were filling up my calendar, so then I was neglecting my stuff that needed to get done.
yeah.
So now it's like, okay, they're only allowed in this time. They have to just pick a time that works for them within
Mhm.
that time zone. So from 1 to 5 is like is me getting all my stuff done that I need to do and work on.
Okay. That's incredible. Now, one more thing before we go. Let's talk about fatherhood. We got to give credit to you for being the best dad that you could be and tapping into your greatest version every day as a dad. And I just want to talk more like as a father and entrepreneur, are you able to balance both? And what what are you doing that's working so far?
Man, I'm winging it every day, bro. That's what it's working so far, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Uh, Honestly, it's just having an amazing partner. She's not just my business partner; she's just my life partner. And right now, she's dealing with the screaming baby, so that I can be on this podcast. So that is a huge help for sure. It truly is. I do also like I let her know like, hey, look, if you need me to like take an hour so you can do whatever you need to get done for the business or just take time for yourself, like to let me know or time block it, put it in the calendar, and so I don't schedule anything at that time. And so I'll know that I need to, hey, I need to step away. I can't do anything in this moment.
Mm,
We also take her with us everywhere we go. I mean, we went
mm,
to Montana and did the community camp. We brought her with us the whole time. She was just strapped to our chest.
yeah.
We take her to all the meetups. She's 7 months old and she's been to like 8 meetups already. And she honestly, take your kid to meetups. It is an
Yeah.
amazing network tool. It truly is. Like
Yeah.
people just come up to us like, "Hey, I want to see the baby." I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, she's amazing." Like, by the way, I'm Joseph. How are you? How can I help? What do you do? And
Yeah.
instant conversation icebreaker. Like I don't even have to try anymore. People just
Yeah.
want the baby.
That's
So
incredible.
take the kids to meetups for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I have a 2-year-old and a 9-month old. And I haven't brought my 2-year-old because he's running everywhere. He's exploring how fast he can run. He already learned how to say ready, set, go. And I'm definitely gonna take him once I'm able to hire a nanny so the nanny could be there with them, but I'm also gonna see him on site, right? And and let's talk about being a husband too, because that's a major role, you know. I wanna do full all around, you know, business, family, gratitude, faith, and being a husband. How what could you give to a new husband, you know, freshly into marriage? What from your experience, what could you give as an advice, like for someone who just became a husband?
Listen more and talk less.
Mm.
The hunt, but that's it, man.
Yeah.
If you truly not just like hear it but truly listen, it will help you a lot. Shit, I'm still working on that one, but that is a huge piece of advice. If you just listen to what they tell you, whichever side you're on, husband, wife, doesn't matter, just listen
Yeah.
to your partner and then truly listen and reciprocate it, right? If they're asking you to do something, let them know that you heard what it is. Repeat it back to them.
Yeah.
Things that we had to learn. We went through some self development stuff, and my wife learned that we have like a color system now, right? So green means we're good to go. Like we can have a conversation, we can talk about whatever the issue is. We're
Hmm.
both in a good state. Whereas yellow is like, okay, we're not ready to have a conversation. We're not like quite in flight or fight mode, but we're just aggravated or irritated or whatever it is. And then red is like it's danger zone, man. You don't want to. You just need to just separate for a moment, take your time, go cool off, get back to the green. So that's one thing we learned through one of my wife's coaches. Um, and honestly, it really is just as simple as just being present and just listening. I'm not telling you that I'm this amazing
Hmm.
husband or anything. I'm definitely not. I work a lot and it takes a lot of my focus away, but being present in the time that you do have will change a lot for you, and it'll definitely elevate your husband slash wife status, whatever you are.
Yeah, that's incredible. And where could people find you if someone wants to get in contact with you to JV with the single family, or they need help with the multifamily and they want to bring it to you? Where could they find you?
Man, probably the best thing to do is to reach out to me through Instagram. It's my first and last name with an underscore at the end. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me because I'll see it and I can go back and like reference it later.
Mm,
Um, I get blown up with text messages all day, so honestly, it probably get lost there. But Instagram is a good way to make sure I can get back to you. Also, if you want to follow us on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, and LinkedIn too.
mhm.
Uh, it's my name for all of it, and what we're on everything there.
So your YouTube channel is Joseph Mudd underscore?
It's KJ and Joseph Mudd for our
Okay,
YouTube.
Jane. Okay. Yeah, and I think you have a link tree, right? Or something similar?
I'm actually working on our CRM and building a website that has just everything
Okay.
there. That way it's just a click of a button. So for now, just follow the Instagram and then I'll send you the links for everything eventually.
All right, I'll attach the Instagram username on the description of the video. All
Perfect.
right. Well, thank you, Joseph. I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm grateful that you gifted us with that, and I'm grateful that your wife was able to support for you being on here and taking care of the beautiful little girl. And I'm very grateful and honored to have you on this podcast. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. I'm honored to be here as well. You're an awesome dude. It's been a
Thank you.
pleasure getting to know you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll definitely JV a few deals down the line.
Let's
And
go.
and I'll set the intention, God willingly, that we'll do a multi-family unit as well.
Let's go. I'm
Yeah.
pumped. I'm ready, man.
All right.
I need some more units.
I got you. We'll do it, brother. We'll do it.
All
All
right,
right. Thank
man.
you for listening. Thank you for tuning. You have a beautiful day, evening, morning, and remember to become your greatest version every single day and always have faith. Peace. Let's see.